Back in 2015, America with other countries, including China, agreed to a deal that would limit or see the limit of Iranian nuclear ambition in exchange for sanction relief. 3 years later, America broke the deal, even though Iran had held its own end of the bargain. The US not only placed severe sanctions on Iran, but they also did something else. They placed secondary sanctions, punishing any non-American companies that were trading with Iran. The result was devastating to the Iranian economy. It went from exporting 2.5 million barrels a day, of oil to below 500,000 barrels per day. Foreign investment collapsed. Iran was frozen out of the SWIFT banking system. This is a system that organizes global trade between banks. SWIFT and the dollar were basically weaponized against Iran, and together the US sanctions against Iran and punishing any non-US companies for trading with Iran, it destroyed the Iranian economy. Inflation soared to between 40 to 60%. The Iranian currency lost 80 to 90% of its value. Food prices, rent costs exploded, and ordinary Iranians suffered. It's important we understand the background to this, because while this is being presented as a protest against the regime, fundamentally this was initiated as a protest against the economic situation in Iran, a collapse that was engineered by America.
Admitted 7 coups, but historians estimate the United States has overthrown or attempted to overthrow at least 50 different governments since 1945. And they use the same regime change playbook every single time. The regime change playbook is a set of tools used to weaken or overthrow a government without needing conventional military intervention. It has been applied to Iran, Iraq, Syria, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, Chile, always with the same goal: to install or maintain a government that will align with US economic interests, aka that will allow US corporations to extract from them. Every country who has experienced this tyranny had something that the United States wanted. Today, the flavor of ice cream is Greenland, Venezuela, Iran. But nobody is safe from the imperial strategy, so you need to be able to recognize the regime change playbook. Step 1, the first tool, is sanctions. This is economic warfare. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo admits this. This is a quote from him. Things are much worse.
So, as usual, the public is told a big lie, and that is, look at how terrible the Iranian government is to its people. The administration is using what they call, and they brag about it, maximum pressure of trying to break the Iranian economy in every possible way by isolating Iran, punishing any country that dares to trade with Iran. Today, Trump announced, as he does, our emperor, that any country that trades with Iran will pay 25% tariffs. But the idea is to wreck the lives of the people of Iran, and then to help to foment large-scale protests everywhere. It's a very well-known, established CIA, Mossad game plan, but the idea is to induce people to go out on the streets, to encourage them. As Mike Pompeo, the former CIA director, tweeted at the end of last year, he said hello to all the Mossad agents running on the streets of Tehran next to the protesters. So this is a game. It's an extraordinarily violent, vicious game. Our mainstream media are so lame or so bought or so phony that they report that the Iranian government has lost control of the economy without saying that the United States has crushed the Iranian economy. So, as usual, the public is told a big lie, and that is, look at how terrible the Iranian government is to its people. But the whole idea is for the United States and Israel to make life as miserable as possible for the people of Iran, as if this is a normal thing, with the goal of regime change. In 1953, the MI6 and the CIA toppled the democratic government of Prime Minister Mossadegh of Iran using methods like this, mass protests, whipping people out on the streets, because in that day, the Iranian prime minister had the audacity to suggest that the oil under the ground in Iran actually belonged to the Iranians rather than to the British and the Americans.
Multiple things can be true at once, and I feel like it's becoming a cliche at this point. So here are the multiple things about Iran. Number one, only Iranians get to determine what's going to happen to Iran, and that should be without saying. Number two, Western intervention has always fucked up everything more than it's ever helped, and a lot of the horrible conditions we're seeing today in Iran are because of the West, particularly the United States, intervening. So when you hear people like, well, they say death to America, why? Why do they say that? It's because the United States has literally destroyed their country. And if you really want to talk about dictators, put like the most repressive people in power. And the US is not a saint in any of this. Number three, the Iranian regime is repressive. And we don't have to sanitize this to say that we support self-determination for Iran. Like, that should go without saying. Western countries in any country should never, ever be interfering in another sovereign country. The same goes for Venezuela, by the way. Like, there is just no level to which Western intervention is ever okay. The Iranian people will determine their own future. They will fight for the future that they want. Number four, Iran has helped Palestine. Good on them for that. That doesn't mean they're not repressive. That doesn't mean that, any of these other things aren't true. So we can hold that governments do good things and they do bad things. Usually they mostly do bad things, but that these things can all exist. And Iran can be kind of an important part of Palestinian resistance in the world. And at the same time, we don't have to agree with what that regime does. I just feel like we keep having the same conversations over and over again, like as if one thing kind of negates the other, right? Self-determination is always up to the people. Western countries and any country that wants to interfere in another country should always butt the fuck out. And free Palestine. Like, why are these things contradictory? They shouldn't be.
What do you want to say about sanctions, something else you've been working on, of course? What are you planning there in terms of Iran and the impact there? Do sanctions actually work? And the same question with regard to 500% secondary sanctions or tariffs on countries who purchase energy products from Russia.
Okay, so two things there. There are Treasury sanctions. And if you look at a speech that I gave at the Economic Club of New York last March, I said that I believe the Iranian currency was on the verge of collapse, that if I were an Iranian citizen, I would take my money out. President Trump ordered Treasury and our OFAC division, Office of Foreign Asset Control, to put maximum pressure on Iran, and it's worked. Because in December, their economy collapsed. We saw a major bank go under. The central bank has started to print money. There is a dollar shortage. They are not able to get imports. And this is why the people took to the street. So this is economic statecraft. No shots fired. And things are moving in a very positive way here.
I think it's very likely that over the next few days there will be something that happens in Iran. And
you
it
do?
might be something big, yes.
Why do you think that?
I did, well, from a variety of different, indirect information, and also, to your point, I think it's entirely possible the United States was waiting for the carriers to arrive.
Was waiting for them, I'm sorry.
For the carriers to arrive.
And that this is just, so that the Greenland story is just a head fake?
I don't know about a head fake, but it has the effect of, it has that effect even if that's not the intent.
And that would mean what? How does that play out if that's actually the case?
Then the big question becomes, can you actually do regime change through effectively a bombing campaign? And I don't think we have any history in which that's effective, but we'll see. It depends what the objective of what happens is. If it's to take out the ballistic missiles, that can be successful. If it's regime change, that's got a more checkered history.
Here's the truth about Western interference in Iran. Democracy is disrupted, dictators are installed, they are supported for decades, and then replaced with something worse. Uprising after uprising, freedom never arrives. Not Egypt, not Libya, not Iraq, not Syria, not Lebanon, not Venezuela, and not Iran. Never forget who put them there.
If you think Iran's economy collapsed overnight leading to these protests, the truth is quite different. The US and EU have imposed heavy sanctions on Iran for decades. Iran is the second most heavily sanctioned country in the world after Russia, and those sanctions affect ordinary citizens.
During the past 60 years, not a day has passed without the US torturing the people of Iran.
The Iranian rial is now worthless. You'd need 1.3 million rial just to buy €1. And this is all largely by design. Here's what US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has been saying just in the last few days.
Last March, we predicted that President Trump's maximum pressure campaign against the Iranian regime would accelerate an economic collapse. The currency and living conditions are in freefall. In December, their economy collapsed. We saw a major bank go under. The central bank has started to print money. There is a dollar shortage. They are not able to get imports, and this is why the people took to the street. So this is economic statecraft.
Those sanctions are so severe that the United Nations say that they violate the basic human rights of Iranians. A study by The Lancet has found that EU and US sanctions have caused the deaths of 38 million people since 1970. And the US continues to use sanctions as a weapon of control, most recently in Venezuela and Syria. Those same Western leaders who pretend to care about Iranian lives are the same ones who are deliberately starving them and destroying their country in another sick game of neocolonialism and geopolitical control.
People have been throwing the word sanctions around like a candy when talking about the collapse in Iran's economy lately, and I'm freaking sick of it. So let me make something clear for you, okay? Ready for some real stats? Let's go. IRGC's budget was roughly around $16 billion in 2025, when Iran only made $23 billion on selling oil. Remember that IRGC controls everything in Iran. IRGC spent $1.5 billion in 2025 to fund the Axis resistance groups. IRGC spent $30 billion to support Assad's regime in Syria, spent $10 billion funding Maduro in Venezuela, $130 million on the spread of propaganda, especially through influencers like Madame Sosti, aka Syrian Girl on Instagram, and Soleiman Ahmed. Identify these people and shame them. They're making money off of the blood of Iranians. While we're at it, let me make something else clear for you. Sanctions, surprisingly, don't create gender apartheid. They don't create sexual violence. They don't create mass political executions. And they definitely don't create the absence of freedom of speech. This is beyond money. It's beyond economy, but many of you benefit from the existence of IRGC, and you are cool with the suffering and the mass killings of Iranians only to push your political ideology. So I have something to tell you. Are you ready? Hello, dictator.
Hey, in case you didn't know, the United States is responsible for the current problems in Iran. In 1953, we overthrew Mohammad Mossadegh, who was a socialist leader of Iran. We then put in place the Shah, who was in fact a brutal dictator. The Shah was responsible for numerous human rights abuses among his people, as well as zealously stealing the wealth of the people in order to enrich himself. Jimmy Carter, among other presidents, allowed the Shah of Iran to operate with free reign throughout the United States of America, kidnapping dissidents to take them back to Iran, where they could be tortured and murdered. This precipitated the Islamic Revolution in Iran, and that is the authoritarian human rights nightmare that we have today. We could have left in place the democratically elected Prime Minister of Iran, but there was oil to be stolen.